say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Let us begin once again by thanking you for co-creating this transmission and allowing our civilization to experience you in this way. Recently, during our last transmission through this window to you, we began to speak about the idea of surrender. This is one of the most important and critical concepts that we can share with all of you. It is the concept that will, in a sense, sum up all the other tools and techniques we have discussed with you, put them to best use by bringing them all under the umbrella of the concept of surrender. So we will continue with this idea so that there will be enough opportunities for each and every one of you to understand how to apply, how to use this idea in your lives to your benefit, to create, to allow profound change in a direction that is reflective of the infinite possibilities that you are. So, you must first of all remember that when we talk about the idea of surrender, we are not talking about the idea of invalidating who you are. Rather, just the opposite. We are talking about the idea of total validation of who you are, what you are created to be. Surrender, in your language, in the sense that most people on your planet usually use it, means that in some senses, the kind of giving up that you do goes hand in hand with losing something of yourself, giving away something, giving your power over. This is not what we mean by surrender in this context. What we mean here is the stopping, the cessation of trying to be who you think you need to be, and the beginning of simply allowing yourself to be who you are. To surrender the personality game, to give up the personality game that you have been taught for many years to think you are supposed to play, and in letting that go, in giving it up, in surrendering it, then actually allowing yourself to be what you were created to be, which is in the image of the infinite, which means you are created to be unlimited possibilities, and thus then when you surrender the limiting personality mask that prevents you from seeing that you are infinite beings, that you are unlimited possibilities, when you give that up, you are then allowing the universe, which is a mirror, to reflect not just the limited personality that you think you're supposed to be, but instead to reflect the unlimited possibilities you actually are, and to allow your life, as we said before, to become an infinite series of miraculous circumstances, because that's what you are, miracles of creation. And as we said, remember, you are creation itself, each and every one of you. You are creation itself. You are the act of creation. You are the event of creation itself. So to surrender to life, to surrender to creation, to surrender to the infinite, no matter by what name you wish to call it, doesn't matter. By so doing, you are surrendering to your true nature and allowing your reality to automatically show you the miracle of creation that you are. And thus then, your reality in physical, linear terms can represent the miracle that you are by a continuing series of synchronicities that always support you, benefit you, allow you to experience expanded creativity and abundance. Remember, please, that this is physics, not just a nice idea, not just pretty words. When we talk about the idea of surrendering, we are talking about one of the most profound acts of love, self-love, creation that you can do. And in so, finally, just letting go, just stopping all the trying, all the struggling, all the striving of what you think you're supposed to do in order to, quote-unquote, have what you think you're supposed to have. When you give all that up, when you finally just get so tired of trying to be who you think you're supposed to be, and give up because you just get so tired of trying to push this that way, pull this way, and make things fit, and make things fall into place, and make things work. When you finally get so tired of doing all that, pushing and pulling, and you finally give it all up and let go, then the miracles happen. Then you can experience life for what it is. Unlimited possibilities. So, remember that when you surrender your personality, when you let go, when you give it up, you are surrendering to life. You are surrendering to the infinite. You are surrendering to your true self. You're not losing anything. You're not giving your power away. You are, once and for all, finally allowing yourself to actually be who you are. Your natural self, your true self. We will continue to work with each and every one of you in this manner and on this principle, because it really is, in a sense, the most important, the most fundamental principle of all the things we have ever discussed, and every other thing, every other tool, every other technique, every other idea we have ever discussed with each and every one of you will all fall under this notion of surrender. For if you do not allow yourself to be who you are, then really anything else we have discussed will not really be fully allowed to function for you, to work for you, in the biggest, most expansive way it possibly could. You might see little successes here and there, little glimpses here and there, but without the surrender, you're really, again, only working in pieces through the personality, which is limiting. And this is not what each and every one of you have said you want life to be. So let us begin, day by day, step by step, to just let go, to trust, to not care so much, worry so much. And again, we do not mean care in the sense of no longer do you care for people. We do not mean it that way. But to stop caring and worrying so much about the things you think you're supposed to do and the way you think you're supposed to do them. But just let life show you who you are, and let life show you how you can unfold in miraculous ways. We thank you once again for allowing us in this transmission to remind you of the importance and the power of surrender and letting go. And in return for the gift, once again, that you are giving to us and allowing us to experience you in this exchange, I ask in return, in what way may I now be of service to you? I will take that as an okay. We thank you once again for the co-creation of this interaction, this day of your time. And we will begin this interaction, which we have entitled, Take Action, in the following way. Last night of your time, we spoke about the idea of downloads, and we will reiterate a few points briefly because there is connection between the idea of download and take action. We spoke about the idea of the communion between the higher self as it downloads to the physical brain, which then transmits to the physical mind information. And we reminded you that the higher mind conceives, the brain receives, the physical mind perceives. And we talked about the mechanism by which that occurs, involving the pineal gland and the neurochemical transmitters it creates in order to facilitate that connection between higher non-physical mind through the physical brain into the personality construct. Now, the reason why we remind you of the idea of the download and all the information that comes through the conduit of imagination, inspiration, and communion with the higher mind is that the idea is a two-part process. Downloading is the first part, but taking action is the second part. Once again, by analogy, you can liken it to the idea of electricity, in the sense that if you are receiving information, if you are receiving inspiration, if you do not actually flow that information through you, apply it by physical action in your physical reality, then there is really no point in the continuation of the downloading of information. If you do not flow it through you, you have short-circuited its ability to be applied in physical reality, and therefore the download information can simply stay within you, build up within you, and the downloads, in a sense, can seem to cease. For there is no reason to pick up any more information if you haven't already used what you've been given. So it is crucial to understand that in order to really use the information, to allow more information to come through, taking action is very important in your physical reality. And of course, when we talk about taking action, as we have many times, we are referring to the idea of taking action on the things that excite you the most. Because excitement is the physical translation of the vibratory energy that represents your true self. Now, obviously there are many ways in which you can take action. And we will be discussing these today of your time. And in this discussion, we will engage some of you, specifically, personally, to apply this idea of action in your lives, in your own personal and specific situations. So in other words, if you are having any degree of difficulty in manifesting what you prefer, we can discuss in specific terms what actions might be necessary to unstick yourselves, unblock yourselves, allow that information, that energy to flow, and to create an effect of manifestation in your reality. But let us remind you, once again, of the basics of taking action, because as we talked about when we spoke of the idea now on your planet that is labeled the secret, and we talked about the secret of the secret, is that it's all well and good to have passion about a thing, but you must also be passionate about having passion in order for it to really continue. Many people will say they are following and acting on their passion, but they give up all too easily when they do not get what they expect. The idea is that if you're not passionate about being passionate, then the idea of the passion will not be sustained. For the idea is that that which truly you are passionate about, you would never give up on. You would look for any avenue, any way, any methodology whatsoever by which to pursue that idea. Now, once again, when we talk about the idea of taking action, it is within the context of understanding that it is to be without specific expectation. You can have, for lack of a better term, the expectancy that it will bring you what you need, what you require. It will increase, accelerate, and expand your joy, your creativity, your passion. But the expectation refers to the specific way in which you might envision a thing coming to fruition. And as we mentioned last night of your time, the idea is that your physical mind does not really have the capability of knowing exactly how a thing may manifest. But it does have the capability of envisioning a symbolic manifestation in its mind, in your mind's eye, that represents the idea of that particular reality that you desire, that you prefer. Now, we are not saying that what your physical mind might imagine as a picture that represents that reality you prefer cannot manifest. We are not saying that. It can, and sometimes often does, exactly as you have pictured it. But what we are reminding you of is that whatever it is the physical mind is capable of conjuring up as an image of that so-called preferred reality, that idealized reality, that desired reality, is not, even though the physical mind may think so, necessarily the highest depiction
of that reality you actually desire, of that state of being. The physical mind can only imagine so much in the context of its physical reality. It is not capable of handling too much information at the same time. And it is not capable of perceiving certain things that are the domain of the higher mind. So the idea is that whatever it is you picture as a vision of the reality you prefer, you can use that as a template. You can use that as a guide. You can use that to allow yourself to feel, to identify and feel the vibration, the excitement, the passion that represents that reality. But please remember and recognize that whatever the picture is you have that is conjured from your physical mind is, to you perhaps, seeming the highest possible representation of that idea, but to the higher mind, it's the lowest possible representation of that idea. And thus then the higher mind will take that as a foundation and can go up from there and actually give you something, manifest something for you that is far greater, far more exciting, far more imaginative than you were capable of imagining with the physical mind. So that's why it is important to not insist with your expectation that the vision your physical mind conjures for you must be the way it occurs, because if you insist on it, you're actually stopping the higher mind from giving it to you in a way that might be better than you imagined. Just use it as a guide, knowing that it is the vibration the higher mind needs to key off of, to then bring to you what you are willing to allow to come to you as the actual thing that represents the state of being that you really, really would find most joyful, most beneficial, most passionate, most loving, most creative. But this idea of taking action is paramount and key into fulfilling whatever that vision represents, be it literal or be it something that will be even better, even greater. Taking action, because you are physical beings. The idea of actually acting on your excitement is making a commitment. And it is showing, it is demonstrating to your higher mind that you are willing to commit to that reality, to that vibration, to that state of being. That you are open to receiving anything that is of that state of being. It is also being willing to look at anything within yourself, anything at all, a belief system, a definition, an emotion, a thought, anything within yourself that needs to be processed in order for you to become a more integrated being, in order to move forward in the direction of that preferred reality, that preferred state of being. As you take actions in your life, in the direction of the things that excite you the most, you will start a process, start a ball rolling, as you say, that will unlock certain parameters within your personality construct. Certain beliefs and certain definitions will then be brought to your attention. You will be made conscious of them. And when you are made conscious of them as you take these actions, you are not made conscious of them because it is a reflection that you are stuck with it. You are made conscious of them because it is a reflection that this is what you need to deal with, so that it gives you the opportunity to move beyond it, to integrate it and move beyond it. So anytime anything like that comes up, even if you didn't expect it, it is a joyful event that gives you the opportunity to propel yourself through it and beyond it if you will act upon that circumstance in that way, from that positive point of view. Labeling it as positive, that it is there, using it in a positive way as a stepping stone to the next stepping stone. Remember, every point, every idea is a stepping stone. And if you don't validate the one that's there, you cannot use it to get to the next one. It will be as if there is a gap. So the idea of taking action is an overall holistic process of taking steps forward in what you might typically call faith, but doesn't really require faith as you understand it. It can be a knowing, an absolute knowing that your higher mind is guiding you, and that the steps you take and the things that are presented to you in life are the things that actually, when used in a positive way, when acted on in a positive way, will get you where you actually wish to go. That's what they're there for. But they're there to give you that journey in a particular form, in a particular process that actually gives you the ability to fully appreciate and fully utilize what it is that ultimately will manifest. The process is for that reason. Taking action is for that reason. It's for learning the things you need to learn, experiencing the process you need to experience, in order that when the thing itself that might be the object of the manifestation manifests, you actually will have more capability, more appreciation to utilize it in the best possible way for all concerned. So that's what that's about. Now, we have talked about many ways of taking action, many levels of the idea of taking action on your excitement. And so we will remind you right now of a few. When we talk about the idea of taking action on your excitement, again, please remember, it doesn't mean you have to have some sort of particular life-spanning career or project in mind. You can, that's fine. But you don't have to start there if you don't have one in mind. The idea, first and foremost, is to recognize that, again, at any given moment, you have available to you a number of options of things you could do. All you have to do is look at all the options available to you and act on the one that is most exciting to you, that you have the greatest degree of ability to take action on at that moment. And if more than one seems equally exciting, then you can either take action on either and let it guide you as to whether to keep going in that direction or turn around and do the other one, or you can relabel, redefine, and re-identify the two apparently equally exciting things as simply different aspects of one larger overriding overall exciting things, of which those two things might simply be reflections of. It's an opportunity to consolidate and integrate the idea of your excitement and recognize connections where they exist, if two things seem equal to you in excitement. But if they do seem equal, it won't matter really which you take action on, based on the idea of which you have the greatest ability to take action on. So that's the first criteria. Choose whatever it is that is the most exciting. Secondly, that you have the greatest degree of ability to actually do something about. And take it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Then, when you reach that new crossroads, look around for what opportunities, circumstances, and situations are, once again, most representative of the most exciting thing. And choose that and act on it. Now, once again, it's not about looking for those things that you think are supposed to appear connected to what you think excites you. It's simply about following whatever is most exciting and knowing that the reason it's most exciting is because it is connected to where you want to go. That's why it's exciting. Not because it has to look like it's connected. Because very often the things that excite you the most will not necessarily appear to be connected to other things that excite you. But they may actually, in fact, be representative, moving in that direction, of the path of least resistance. Your physical mind may think that the path of least resistance is this way, but your higher mind will show you, through the idea of what comes with the most excitement, what the path of least resistance actually is, even if it seems a little bit circuitous at first. The excitement tells you it's actually the shortest, quickest, most effortless path. Trust the excitement. Trust the passion. It will lead you in the proper direction. It will allow you to process what you need to process. It will allow you the synchronicity that you need to experience. And it will get you where you're going in the best possible way, with the highest amount of ability and appreciation to use what you manifest. Now, synchronicity plays a big key in the idea of taking action. Once again, when you are willing to really put yourself out, take action, make a commitment to the things you say excite you, do whatever it is you can do to make that a physical reality for yourself, to make it real, to feel it, to taste it, to smell it, to touch it, to see it, to hear it, to really make it as real as possible, taking action, physical activity on that thing that excites you to whatever degree you can. More and more synchronicity will occur in your life that will bring to you the right people, the right places, the right time, the right support, exactly when you need it. It may not come 1 second before you need it, but it will not come 1 second later than you need it. That's what synchronicity is all about. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. The coming together, the right place and time of all the elements that demonstrate to you that everything is one, that everything is connected. And synchronicity is the linear space-time representation of that fact, that everything touches everything else, and that any part that needs to be there in your kit will be there exactly when you need it. Not a second later, but not a second sooner. Because if you don't need it, there's no point in it showing up. So many times we know that one of the reasons many of you hesitate to take some of the actions that are necessary to get things rolling is because you're waiting for something to show up, thinking, well, I'll take the action when that thing's there. But in fact, it actually works the other way around more often than not. When you take the action, then that thing is there when you need it. And that's what you need to learn to trust, is that that's how the kit usually works. Sometimes it might be there first, but many times it may not be. But that should not stop you. The whole process will occur when it needs to, in exactly the manner that it does. Now, in terms of taking action, we have also talked about the idea of creating as solidly as possible the vision that you have in your mind of what represents your ideal reality. We have talked about the idea of mocking it up in physical terms, simulating it, if you will, as best as you can. This is still an important key. Once again, you will find that many people who consider themselves to be successful manifestors will have, at various points in their lives, had a vision, but they will actually have play-acted the vision out physically in some fashion, even though it may not actually have been at the moment the quote-unquote real thing. An actor, for example, who wishes to act on stage or wishes to act in a movie may simply go, before they have ever given a part, they may simply go to a stage, to a sound stage, may hire their friends to run a camera. They will then act out a part perhaps that they wrote or someone else wrote, but they will go through the actual physical motion, mocking it up, as though they really are at that moment making a real movie, doing it for real, being a real actor. And by doing that, by taking that kind of action as well, not only acting on the things you are capable of acting on that apparently relate to the thing that you prefer, but also mocking it up and acting through that scenario, you then train, in a sense, your body consciousness to get used to that vibration of that reality. The more real you can make it, the more real your brain and your body will believe that it is. And the more real your brain and body vibrations believe that it is, the easier it will be for you to align with your higher mind and allow the higher mind to manifest that reality for you in some form. So mocking it up is also a form of taking action. But again, we recognize that even though we have discussed this idea many times, many of you will still think we are talking metaphorically and will just do the exercise in your mind and will not actually go to the length to actually physically transform your physical environment to actually be as close a representation of the reality you prefer that you would prefer. So we are urging you strongly to actually take action in the direction of creating in your reality some representation as close to the vision of that reality as you can that is physically present, to make it look as much like that reality as possible, and key off of those representations as though they are real, which is why it's important to make them look as real as possible. But you can use your imagination in this, but not just to sit around and use your imagination. Use your imagination while you are physically mocking it up, to play act through that and get used to that. It's like rehearsal of that reality. And the more you rehearse, the better you get. And the more you actually find yourself then living that reality. Bless you. Another variation of the idea of taking action in that vision in your mind is to pay attention very closely to the version of you you see in that image you have of that ideal reality. Very often, many of you will have this image of yourself living this wonderful reality. But you will forget to pay attention to the fact that the behavior of the version of you see in that image is very different than the behavior you exhibit on a day-to-day basis. The idea of seeing yourself in that vision of the ideal reality that you prefer is for the purpose of creating a mirror reflection for you to mimic. So that if you act like that person, you are more likely to have the reality you see that version of you having. That's the point. Observe closely the thoughts, the words, the deeds, the body language, the physical behavior of that version of you in that reality. Because that version of you will do things very often very differently than you go about doing things in your day-to-day reality, because you are making a difference between the two. And so you have the ability to use your imagination this way, to point out the difference between the two, so that you can create less difference between the two. The more you act like him or her in that version of your ideal reality, the more you will attract that reality, his reality, her reality. So pay attention to the body language and take that version of you through all the typical daily routines that you may have in your life or that you want in that reality. Even if it is something that you typically consider ordinary or mundane, watch how that you does it. Because if that you is actually in a reality that is representative of his or her passion, that you is going to be doing even the ordinary things in a much different way than you might do. So let's say you have a vision of that you in that reality, living the life you prefer. Just take that you, let's say, grocery shopping. Because that might still be something you might still do, even in the reality of your passion. Now, if you look at that you and the way that you does it, then that's the way for you, to the best of your ability, to do the same thing. Mock up as best as you can, act out as closely as you can, the way in which that you would do it. As best as you can, get as close as you can. That's all you need to do. As long as you've made the commitment to get as close as you can, the vibration will be read by the higher mind as the full commitment. So it doesn't always have to be exact, as long as you are willing to get as close as you can. And sometimes you might surprise yourself as to exactly how close you can get. Because again, synchronicity will support you once you have made the commitment to behave that way and take action. That way, synchronicity will support you and bring about the opportunities to behave that way. And at first it may be a little shocking and a little surprising, but I think you'll get used to it. So the idea is, let's say you're looking at that you and you see that you going grocery shopping. Again, the idea might be that the body language is different as you do so. Maybe your attention is drawn to different products as that you, that are more representative of the reality you prefer. Maybe you will, as that you, hire someone to do the shopping for you. Again, get as close as you can to that you. Whatever truly represents what is most fun, most passionate for you in thought, word, and deed, and all those behaviors, mock it up, mimic it, mirror it as closely as you can. Every day. Walk down the street and say, how would the ideal me, with the ideal reality, be walking down this street? Head held high, a smile for everyone, feeling great, light on my feet, not moping down the sidewalk, wondering when it's all going to happen for me. Because the version of you for whom it has already happened doesn't have a reason to do that, do they? Therefore, if you are doing this and they are doing this, there is a vast difference between your vibrations and thus a vast difference in your ability to attract. So, taking action. Taking action is the willingness to understand, the willingness to know that by doing so, you are bringing that downloaded information, that downloaded inspiration, that downloaded imagination, that downloaded vision, that downloaded energy, and you are grounding it, you are applying it, you are putting it out there so that you are creating a flow. And when you create a flow, You empty the vessel, and when you empty the vessel, more can be poured in, and more will come, and more will keep coming, and it will never stop. It will never stop. There are times when it may seem to stop, but that doesn't mean it actually has stopped. It may simply mean that there is a reason to pause and ponder what's going on and contemplate in a peaceful manner. That doesn't mean anything is stopped. Never label anything as an obstacle, or it will be experienced as an obstacle. Simply allow yourself to sit with it, let it be what it is, knowing it's there for a reason. How do you know it's there for a reason? Because you say so. Again, remember, nothing in creation will contradict you. It never has before, and it never will. Even when you insist on having extremely negative realities, creation doesn't contradict you. It's not going to contradict you when you insist on having a positive one. So feel free to have whatever reality you prefer. But because you are physical beings, it is imperative that you take action in the direction of what you prefer, or the universe will not experience the commitment from you that will flip the switch to allow things to happen to reinforce that reality. If you're not taking action, you're actually saying you don't really want it. And therefore, you are getting what you asked for. Nothing. Stasis. Static. But when you flow, everything flows. You must uncork the valve. And then the genie can grant your wishes. The genie within you. Now, let us explore some specific ideas in your personal lives about taking action, manifestation, things that you might be experiencing as difficulties, obstacles, impediments, if you wish.
About mentoring youth.
Yes.
Because I realized there was none on the market.
All right.
And I spent several months putting together a book proposal.
Yes.
And I got an agent to try to shop it and
An agent to shop it.
shop it to publishers to
Yes.
try to sell it.
Yes.
And all the publishers that he sent it to said, we don't think there's a market for it.
Yes.
And I've been so busy with my organization, Create Now, that I've just put it on the back shelf and kind of kept thinking, well, I'm going to get that book done someday, and kind of didn't do anything with it. And then realized that the book wasn't going to write itself.
Yes.
And even though I work 24/7, I decided to force myself to carve out at least 2 hours on Sunday afternoons to work on the book.
That is taking action.
So the last month or two, I've been working on Sunday afternoons on the book.
Yes.
And I'm really feeling the download.
Thank you.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
And the agent contacted me in December and said it was time to shop it again.
Yes.
And so he's now promoting it to publishers, and I just really feel in the flow, and I'm very grateful to you for giving us this workshop this weekend.
Thank you. And thank you for your sharing. Often this is all it takes. You must remember, when you say you don't have enough time, you're the one creating the time. So you can create whatever time you need, and please remember, the only reason it may seem as if you don't have enough time to do something is because you may be having expectations about the kinds of things you think you need to do. But when you act on your passion, you will very clearly see that your excitement and your passion are not only the driving engine, but also the organizing principle of your life. And whatever it is that needs to be done that is relevant to your passion will be done, and whatever is, shall we say, left over does not necessarily need to be done at that moment. And that the passion will bring about what you need for support. If you understand that whole idea that way, you will experience it that way. So yes, create the time that is representative of the time you need to experience your passion. And whatever you don't have time left over for in any given day, you will do some other time if, in fact, it is representative of your joy. It will all fall into place in the proper timing, in the proper order. Let it do so. And do not try to cram too much into one day. That is usually the product of thinking that you need to do certain things you don't actually need to do. Only because you are coming from a place where you're not really allowing your passion to be the organizing principle to show you what really needs to be done in any given day. So thank you for your sharing.
Hello, good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My whole focus this life and some previous ones, which of course are all happening at the same time.
Yes.
But my focus has always been music.
Yes.
I selected this body because there was a real good chance that the vocal cords would be what I wanted and could function as I wanted them to, and they have. They have.
And?
They have, and I'm very happy about that.
But?
The challenge I'm having is that for the last year and a half, my throat hurts when I sing.
I see.
Or when I talk too much.
And?
And
what have you done about this?
I have fasted. I've done a cleansing fast for 2 weeks, which helped somewhat, but it debilitated the rest of my muscles in my body because my body started eating up my muscles in order to function, so I had to stop that.
All right.
I've seen a doctor.
Yes.
He said that if it didn't get better, he would have to do a biopsy.
All right.
So that's a possibility. And I mean, last week I strapped a bloodstone to my throat because I was told that there was a possibility that could help.
Have you done a detoxification?
Yes, that was the 2 weeks that I didn't eat, and I did I did a cleansing fast.
All right. Now, may I ask a question?
Please.
As a musician, is singing the only representation of your passion?
No, except that it's the only area in which I am skilled.
Is it the only area you wish to be skilled in?
No, I would like to be skilled in other areas, but singing is like flying to me.
All right. Remember that when we talk about the idea at any given moment of following your passion, it always comes with the caveat of acting on your passion to the best of your ability and taking it as far as you can.
Right.
And when you can take it no further at any given moment, then acting on the next most exciting thing you're able to take action on. So if, for the moment, for some reason, your vocal cords are saying, now is not the time to push us, what is the next most exciting thing you could take action on?
Probably learning to play the piano.
Probably? Or learning to play the piano?
Learning to play the piano, I think, would probably... Well, learning to play the piano or possibly the bass.
Just because you say possibly doesn't mean you're not saying probably.
You don't have to be so sharp. Learning to play the piano.
Thank you. Now, will you then begin to do that?
Yes.
Why?
Because I want to, damn it.
Oh, all right. Sound passionate about it. So herein again lies the key. Your passion is the organizing principle. And when one aspect of your joy simply cannot be acted on to the fullest that you would prefer, act on whatever aspect you can act on next, and let the other take a rest. Once you then do that, you will bring all aspects more into play, and then they can all work together in proper timing. All right?
Yes, I see that.
And just because you can fly when you sing doesn't mean you can't fly when you play the piano.
Yeah. It's just a... It's just a longer runway.
So, who says a longer runway can't be just as enjoyable? Are you saying that?
No, I'd like to fly now.
All right, then fly now to the piano teacher.
Okay.
Again, the idea being, you will always put on the brakes when you are attempting to force yourself in a direction that is not necessarily the path of least resistance. You follow me?
Yes.
Take a cue from the signs that occur naturally, and don't assume you're supposed to smash your way through what you are calling a brick wall, when in fact it might simply be a sign and an arrow saying, go left.
Yes, yes.
Follow that flow. And when you follow the flow of your energy, other things will start to flow back. You follow?
Yes, that's
And you
an
may
excellent
find
point.
then one day, while you are simply playing the piano, that you just automatically start singing, and the harmony that comes out between the piano and your voice will finally tell you why you needed to move in that direction. And then you will be truly flying. All right?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day. So, along yesterday's session and then today, I think I've been identifying a belief structure that I hold.
All right.
And I'd like maybe for us to converse and to dissolve it.
All right. What is
So-
the belief structure you have discovered within you?
I think that I believe that there's an inherent how in taking actions.
An inherent how.
An inherent question of how.
Yes.
And I'll use a very basic example.
Yes.
I want to make a cup of tea.
Yes.
I have to make sure there's a cup. If there's not a cup, I need to wash a cup, or get a cup, I need to get water, and I need to have tea. Those are all steps, let's
Yes.
say,
Yes.
that require a how,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so the mind that thinks
Yes.
the mind that it has to ask those questions, has to ask those
Does
how.
it?
Well,
Does it?
I don't know.
Do you
Does it?
actually ask those questions when you say, I would like a cup of tea? Do you not just now, at this point in your life, go about the business of making the cup without actually thinking about how you're doing it? Isn't it automatic at this point?
Yes, in that sense, yes.
All right.
So you're saying that can be applied to any endeavor?
Yes, I am.
For example, like what?
Now, one moment.
Okay.
Again, when we talk about the idea that the physical mind isn't built to understand how something's going to happen, we're talking about the concept of manifestation. We're not talking about the day-to-day instructions of how you learn to do something, how you make a cup of tea, how you learn to drive a car. We're not talking about instructionals. We're talking about manifestational energy when we talk about the how that comes from the higher mind. You follow me? There's
follow.
a difference there.
Yes.
Yes, of course. There are certain how-tos on an instructional sense that go hand in hand with physical reality. But that's just the idea of tutelage. That's just the idea of learning a pattern. That's not the kind of how we're talking about when we talk about the how of the higher self, seeing farther or further than the physical mind is capable of seeing in terms of how something's going to come about that you have no instruction for.
I understand. I had not made that distinction.
Yes.
So my passion right now is to make a film.
Then you
And
make a film.
So in that what I've learned, like all
Yes.
the processes I've learned of making a film,
Yes.
it's a lot of how-to questions.
Understood. But the idea is to learn the instructionals to be prepared for the part of the how it's going to happen that isn't included in the instructions.
I understand.
That's the difference. As your society says, quote unquote, chance or synchronicity favors the prepared mind. Yes. We're not saying you have to be completely blank, although obviously there are instances in your society of individuals who have been given no instruction whatsoever who can simply sit down and suddenly do something. You call them prodigies. You're all capable of that. And if you actually wanted to use the idea of the higher mind how in that way, if you trusted it enough, if you got enough belief systems in alignment with it, you could actually learn something instantly. You could just look at something and know how to use it. You could do that. But I understand that most of you at this point do not do that. So while on one hand you could use the how that way, having never used a piece of camera equipment before in your life, you could suddenly look at it and go, I know exactly how to use that. You just instinctively can use it. But if you are not going to do it that way right now, there's nothing wrong with a little instruction, but the instruction prepares you for the part that's not included in the instructions, which is, how's this all going to come about? What way, what path, what door is the opportunity going to come through that will allow me to actually take action on this dream? So preparing yourself with instructionals is one thing. And that can allow the doors to open more readily because you are making a commitment, you are taking action that says you're making a commitment to be given the opportunity to use that knowledge, to use those instructionals. But that's not the how about how it's going to come about for you. Because anytime you go and talk to someone in the industry you're talking about, you can talk all day about how to use a camera and what kind of lighting and how to get the best performance out of an actor. But if you ask someone, how's it actually going to come about? What's the best possible way to make sure I'm actually going to get a chance to make a movie? You'll get a blank stare. Because no one knows. You follow me?
Yes.
And therefore, that's the part we're talking about when we talk about the consignment of the how to the higher mind. That's where the synchronicities need to come about that are beyond instruction. That simply open up the doorways that you are ready to jump through. Because now you have your either instructionals or your intuition or whatever you feel you need to do the job. So that's how they work hand in hand.
I understand.
Does that help?
It does. And with that said, I'm like more excited about the prospect of picking something up and just knowing how to do it than like I'm willing to skip the step of how.
Well, all right. Well, see how far you get with that. You might go all the way, and that's fine. All I'm saying is that if you pick it up and you don't, a little instruction is all right.
Sure.
But yes, many of you may not need as much instruction as you think if you're willing to rely on some of your intuition and just downloading the idea of what you need to know when you need to know it. You could all unleash the prodigy within you if you're willing to believe that that is an aspect of your consciousness. So by all means, give it a shot and then temper it with what aspects of it are not coming, if any are not coming, and temper that with some instruction. Make it a balancing act so that one or the other is not right or wrong. Whatever works, works, is the point.
Beautiful.
Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
So do you feel now that you are able to take stronger action in whatever direction you need to realize this particular dream?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. And just before I leave, I'd like to just send a hello and a greetings to the people of the Elevate Film Festival who are listening in right now. We love you guys. Elevate Film Festival, elevateexperience.com. It's an amazing thing happening on this planet right now. So
thank you.
Is really, really escaping me is that all through my childhood, I've always been searching for the answers. I've got a tattoo on my back that says Veritas Vos Liber Bit. The truth
searching for what answers?
Exactly. So just searching. My passion has always been looking for the truth.
The truth.
The truth of why we're here.
Oh, all right. Well, first of all, you understand that the truth is composed of all truths, right?
Yes.
All right. So you know that much about the truth.
And finally, for me, I recognize the real truth for that, and that is within yourself.
Of course.
So when you talk about, going to your passion and finding your passion and
taking action on it.
Exactly. I'm coming to you and saying, well, I had my passion, and now I'm knowing the truth, and now I'm like just floating along, and I like.
Oh, you think you know all the truth?
No, of course not. You always know more, but for now it's like I'm in this limbo state where I'm watching and I'm content, and it drives me mad. And it drives the girlfriend mad too, because it's like I'm always asking questions. What do I do next? What do I don't know. And I'm like just continuing first. So the question is, what's my passion? I mean, I don't know.
Well, you do remember that we said you can actually take it easy on a small level first. That out of any given moment, there are a number of opportunities. one of which will probably be either more exciting than any other or have more of an ability to be acted on. For example, you decided to come to this session today out of all the opportunities you had available to you. You could have done many other things. The idea is to recognize that out of all those opportunities, one may be more exciting than another, and to take action on it. It doesn't have to be the idea of jumping up and down excitement like it's the best thing that's ever happened in your life. The idea is that it's the best thing that you can think of doing at that moment. Keep it simple.
Okay.
If it's not some overarching, mind-expanding, life-spanning project, it doesn't have to be. That's all right. When we talk about acting on your excitement, we mean out of every opportunity that's available to you, on any level. So just take action on something that's representative of your excitement, and when it brings you to the next crossroad, and you can take it no further, take action on the next thing that's the most exciting thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Then when you do that, that thread will lead you to more and more and more expansive things. More and more synchronicities will open up to show you what kinds of things can be representative of larger amounts of action and excitement.
Okay.
But if you feel that you're not getting that level, then start at this level. You can always start at this level. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Are you willing to do that?
Definitely. I think I'm in a nice, comfortable plateau, and I think from here in this workshop, it's allowed me to stop being so analytical, being an IT manager myself, and just go with the flow, like you're saying.
Yes.
It's a very hard thing, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, now remember, it only seems hard because of belief systems within you that say it is.
Correct.
So, find out what those beliefs are, because they're not absolute truths. They're just temporary constructions. Deconstruct them. All right?
Thank you.
Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'd like to integrate some truths here.
Integrate some truth.
Yes.
All right.
So you're presenting this truth about following your imagination and
yes. Acting on it.
Yes. And there's an idea that we live in a dualistic reality here where
yes,
everything
there is polarity, yes.
And where everything turns into its opposite. And
well, not automatically. Not in terms of your experience of it. Everything exists in a polarized potential state. That doesn't mean the manifestation has to become one or the other once it's one thing or the other. Does that make sense to you?
Well, what about this idea of not being attracted or repulsed?
Yes, what about
anything?
it?
So when you're imagining something, aren't you very much strongly attracted to that? Or?
Well, it depends. Sometimes your beliefs will attract you to something that is not representative of your greatest passion, because you might actually have a belief that makes you fear being attracted to your greatest passion. You have to have the honest self-assessment and discernment to be able to tell the difference as to whether you're actually experiencing anxiety and calling it excitement, or whether you're experiencing true excitement.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sometimes you can be attracted to something that's actually representative of your anxiety, and you think it's representative, or you call it excitement, because what you actually would really be excited about, because of your belief systems, is just too scary to imagine. And so often people on your planet will move away from, will be repulsed by the thing that is actually most true for them, until they get a handle on what belief they have attached to it that makes it seem so scary. They will always move away from it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have something specific that you wish to discuss along these lines?
Well, I'm still... Okay, so if I'm imagining something very passionately...
Yes, like what? Do you not want to share it?
Oh, no, I can share it. I'm going to Africa.
Oh, all right. Why?
I am going to meditate along the Nilotic Meridian, which starts at Egypt and goes all the way down to South Africa.
And why are you passionate about doing this? Are you passionate about doing this?
Yes, I'm
Why
very
are you passionate about doing this?
I want to meditate on the sacred sites along that meridian to open up energy for that continent.
Oh, all right. When will you do this?
I don't know when I will do this.
You don't?
No.
All right, I'll ask the question in another way. When will you take some action in that direction?
I have taken action in that direction.
Such as?
Such as research about the different sites that I want to go to.
All right, that's step one. What was step two?
I am also talking to people and making connections and seeing, talking about ways to make the trip manifest. Like if I organized it and I got people together, then
Yes.
you know I could include my fees.
All right, and
in the
how's that going
organization of
for
it.
you?
It's going.
But do you have some trepidation about doing it that way?
No.
Is that methodology not necessarily representative of your highest passion, or is some other way more representative?
I guess I'm having a hard time with, if I really get into it and really see it in each detail, I mean, it includes other people,
Yes.
it includes extraterrestrials.
Yes.
So I'm including all these other, quote, others
Yes.
in my fantasy world.
Yes.
How does that affect them? And
It affects them how they choose to be affected by it. Why are you worried about it?
and how is that not taking me out of the present moment, I guess also is what I want to know.
I mean, how is it taking you out of the present moment?
Does fantasy take you out of the present moment?
It depends on how you relate to it. Like we said, the idea is to have the vision, but to not insist that the way you're having the vision is the way that it must manifest. That's just a template. It's a resonance template to put you in the proper state, to tell the higher mind that you're committed to that state of being, and then let the higher mind show you how it's actually best manifestable.
So I can envision, like my friend said she's interested in
You
participating.
can envision anything you want that you believe is representative of the idealized picture. Because then the component is there that allows you to feel the picture is complete. Then allow the higher mind to give you whatever version of that complete vibration is actually representative of what's best for you and all concerned.
So you're kind of like creating something and then willing to let it go in the very next moment.
In a sense, that's actually how you create. Look at it this way. I will once again, even though we have used this analogy for a different reason, I will use it here too. Use the rubber band analogy. When you pull the rubber band back, you are building up energy, building up energy, building up energy, building up energy. You are creating that picture in all the ways you deem are most representative of your excitement. Once you have created it all, the rubber band is pulled back as far as it can possibly be pulled back. How is the rubber band going to accomplish anything if you don't let it go?
Oh.
You understand?
Yes.
You have to release the energy that you have potentialized in that vision. You have to let it go and let it fly where it will then go. Then the higher mind is the one that catches it and shoots it back to you in the way that is most representative of the true manifestation that serves you.
I understand.
That's the job of the physical mind, but once you let that go, your job is done. Move on to the next most exciting thing you can do, or the next aspect of the exciting thing you are able to take action on. Because you've let that go, now let the higher mind do its job. Get on the business of attending to any other aspect of it you can act on, or anything else that is representative of your excitement that you are able to act on.
Okay, that brings up another question, because
Yes.
there is a sense that I get in my body that something has been manifested even though I don't see it in physical reality.
Yes.
So, and then my guides tell me, okay, that's done, go on to the next thing.
Yes.
So that's how it works, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because these things sometimes are set up in a certain way, once again, so that by the time the whole thing manifests, you have gone through a process that will actually allow you to utilize the end result in the best possible way with the highest amount of appreciation. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Does that help you?
Yes, greatly.
Thank you. Have a good time in Africa.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
I wanted to do a bit of sharing,
A bit of sharing.
and then I also had a question.
Yes.
So I just wanted to share how I've been acting more spontaneously.
Yes.
On my joy and my passion.
Thank you.
And the things that have happened in my life recently.
All right. Go right ahead.
And basically, yeah, I mean, I've been listening to you for a while, for about 8 years, and I've been, applying your message more and more and more in my life. And I feel that recently, especially, my life has become very, very spontaneous.
All right.
Where something might happen, and then my life gets to the point where, like, a week from now, I don't even know what my life is going to be like at all.
All right. Neither do I.
Right, and that's great. I mean, I really enjoy this. I mean, for example, I have a steady job and like a condo and so forth, and like responsibilities.
Yes.
But I don't really take them seriously anymore, in a good sense.
I understand.
Yeah, and
if I thought you were taking them in a negative sense, I would have said something.
Yeah, and I mean, for example, I registered for a 4-year program at the Fort Lauderdale Art Institute.
Yes.
Spontaneously.
All
so
right.
I did it, and then I called my family, and I was like, I'm doing this 4-year program.
Yes.
And they were like, I don't know about this. I don't think this is a good idea.
All right.
I said, no, don't worry, it's fine. But then 2 weeks later, I wasn't excited about it anymore.
All right.
So I withdrew.
Yes.
And that's fine. Because the whole point of me was registering, and then it didn't
Yes.
matter if I actually went or not.
That's why we say very often the things that excite you the most really don't necessarily have to come to fruition. Very often, because of the way many of you have structured your minds, you simply will create something to excite you just to get you to move in the direction you need to move in. It acts as a carrot, just to get you off the stick. And sometimes that's all that's necessary. Some of the things that excite you are not necessary to come to fruition. They just excite you to get you to move, because that's what's important at that point. So thank you for your recognition of that mechanism.
Right, and that's what I've been doing. And I told them, no, it's fine.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. And then, like it happened 2 weeks later, I withdrew because it wasn't exciting me anymore.
Yes.
And they said, well, why did you do that? And I said, because at the time, I really wanted to register.
Yes.
And then 2 weeks later, I didn't want to go anymore.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean I should have never registered.
No.
Because by registering, I had certain experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
If you use it this way, you are using it in the constructive manner that leads you to your next level of excitement, as opposed to people who might do that in a negative context and simply seem undecided and flighty. That's the negative side of that. But if you understand the mechanism and you use the mechanism consciously, then you are going about it in the way that will actually lead you to the next most exciting thing. Yes.
Yeah. So, and it's funny. I mean, of course, synchronicity again. But I think this morning, actually, my mom sort of reached a breaking point.
A breaking point with what?
Where she's like, this is it. Like, she's like, lady, you've been so spontaneous that it's like freaking her out. And she's like, I think...
Many people on your planet are, as you say, freaked out by spontaneity.
She's like, I don't think I can handle this anymore. And she's like, this is it. Like, don't do this, right? Okay.
What is it that she feels she needs to handle?
Well, no. Okay, so this is the question I wanted to ask.
Guys.
Basically, 2 days ago,
yes,
there was a new thing. This is totally unexpected. It just came into my life.
Yes.
And I was like, I have to go to Switzerland on Friday.
Yes.
Like, I have to. And just like 4 days.
Yes.
Right? And I said, don't worry about it. It's fine. I just have to go.
Yes.
And she's like, you cannot go on Friday. You just cannot go. I will kill you. And so I was
I suppose that might prevent you from going.
Yeah. And so she's like, go, in like a month.
Oh, by the way, killing you would have been an act of spontaneity on her part.
Yeah, I mean, so she's like, no, go in a month. Go in a month, because right now we're doing a lot of stuff with our company, like our new website and whatever.
Yes.
And she's like, we have to finish this before you go. And so after talking to her, somehow my excitement shifted to go instead of next Friday in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And so...
You can get to the point of this, as I said, where you begin to recognize, begin to become sensitized to the fact that there's a difference in vibration between something that excites you as a lure and something that excites you because it's manifestable. Once you get to the point where you can clearly discern the difference, then you can also transmit that information differently to others. In other words, instead of saying, I'm going to Switzerland Friday, you can say, I recognize that I'm getting a vision that shows itself to me in the form of going to Switzerland on Friday. Doesn't mean I'll do that, but I'm getting the vision, I'm getting the energy, I'm getting the excitement, I'm getting the message, I'm getting the download in that language. But I recognize it as a lure. So let me explore how it is it wants me to move without me necessarily having to actually go to Switzerland. Once you understand it that clearly, you can also talk to other people like your mother about it differently, and she'll begin to understand it because she will understand that these things don't necessarily have to be accompanied by a literal playing out. But that just takes practice on your part in recognizing the difference between excitement that simply moves you and excitement that is manifestable. Make sense?
Yes.
No,
So it's all about practicing, learning how to transmit and communicate that understanding within yourself and to others as well.
right. Well, and I mean, as you see from the conversation now, it's switched to 2 weeks from now.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I mean, I think I'm actually going to go in 2 weeks.
All right, but
And you
I'm
never
talking
know.
about the way you transmit this. Because now you're saying, I think I'm going in 2 weeks. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. The point is give yourself the opportunity to sense the difference between whether the energy is something that actually requires the full literal manifestation of the action, or something that requires a different kind of action that would simply leave you closer to home. Find out if you can tell the difference. Practice telling the difference ahead of time so that when you communicate it to others, you can actually give them an accurate assessment of what it really represents. You can say, I have the feeling that I am going to go to Switzerland. That I am going to Switzerland. I have that feeling. I don't know whether that means I'm actually going, but I have that feeling. Let's explore what that might mean, where that energy wants to take me, how it wants me to move, and see if, during that exploration, during that dialogue, during that process, and during that communication, if it remains something that requires literalness, or if it becomes something that was simply symbolic. And I can satisfy that excitement in a different way. And there you can open up a dialogue with your mother that is exploratory and reinforcing, rather than confrontive.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah, that might be less shocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it might be more helpful for you to be able to tell the difference as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good point.
Well, thank you.
So thank you, Bashar.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.